Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. It is post-match reaction show time after Liverpool have just somehow managed to secure 3 points on the first home match of our European Cup title defence against Salzburg. It was 4-3, the final scoreline, and I mean, just how on earth do you sum up that game? There is so much to talk about. Some good, some bad, some brilliant, some utterly terrible. But let's start at the beginning. I feel like this is a match that you can only really dissect in complete chronological order because it swung this way and that at various times. It was going great, it was going bad, it was going terribly, it was going fine, it was going great. It was all over the shop. So just starting off with the beginning, I thought Liverpool actually got off to a really good start in the game. You know, getting that early goal through Sadio Mane. It was a beautiful move. It was the kind of attacking football that maybe we haven't quite seen enough from Liverpool this season. I think it's the kind of goal that normally we actually do reserve for the later games in the season. You know, it's the kind of goal we maybe scored in the 17-18 knockout stage of the Champions League, where the attack really announced itself as one of, if not the most formidable on the European stage. And it's something we maybe haven't seen so far enough this season. And one thing that I really was critical about in the game against Sheffield United was the attacking link-up play and how the players just weren't able to find each other with passes, or when they were picking the wrong passes. And today, it was just 10 times better in every single capacity, the way the players linked up, and it was sort of epitomised by that early goal, the way Mane just completely does the defender, has him on toast, goes straight past him, which is something we haven't really seen as much this season as well, and then goes straight for goal, plays it to Firmino. Firmino just lays it off like it's the easiest thing in the world, like they've done it 1,000 times, which they kind of have done, and then Mane slots it away. There's a little bit of luck about the finish, he kind of bobbles it into the ground, but who knows, a player as brilliant as Sadio Mane, there is always the chance that he's actually done that deliberately, and he knows exactly what he's doing in terms of kicking the ball down and just giving it that extra bounce to take it over the goalkeeper's leg and put Liverpool 1-0 up. And I was so relieved to see that goal because it really felt like we were putting the demons of the previous performance at the weekend to bed, and we were becoming that beautiful, free-flowing, fluid attacking side once again. And then the second goal is just, it's great, isn't it? It's great to see Andrew Robertson score a goal. He celebrates so fantastically. He celebrates like one of us scoring a goal for Liverpool. You know, when the front three score, I love them, but they do it so much now. They'll just jog around, they'll give a little fist pump, they'll high-five each other and everything like that. But when someone like Robertson scores, you can see how much it means to him. He wheels away, he sprints off in front of that Anfield Road end, high-fiving Trent Alexander-Arnold. Beautiful to see a goal where our two fullbacks combine. I think that's probably actually the first time they've ever combined for a goal. I can't really think of many other situations. You know, they don't exactly score that many, and I can't think of another one where it's come from the other fullback providing it. But it's a brilliant run from Andrew Robertson. You know, you see early on, he essentially starts the move, bursting in, coming inside from that left-hand side, and then just laying it off, and then he just keeps going and going and going and going. And credit to the attack, the front three as well. You know, none of them get in his way. They all adapt to that space. Firmino doesn't get into the box. Normally, it's him who gets into that kind of 6-yard area. You know, most of Firmino's goals are tap-ins in that kind of situation, but he leaves it for Andrew Robertson. He lets him come in, and then it's a really good finish from Robbo. You know, as a player who we kind of have down as one of the, maybe even the worst finisher in the team. You know, he doesn't get many goals. It's obviously only his second in a Liverpool shirt. To take that ball at speed and just that cultured left foot finish to guide it past the goalkeeper was fantastic. And like I said, it's great to see Andrew Robertson score. It just fills your heart with glee to see someone like him who clearly cares so much about the club, who gives absolutely everything, getting on the score sheet, is boss. And then the third goal, just a solid finish from Mo Salah. It's another one where we just kind of lay an onslaught upon their goal. It's a really nice move. Firmino plays a decent header, and obviously it comes to Mo Salah. He slightly scuffs the finish, if we're being perfectly honest, and he gets away with it a little bit. Looking at his celebration, he does almost, I was worried at first that it was going to be disallowed for offside or something like that, because he almost kind of grimaced and was like, ooh, and I think that's maybe because he actually thought he wasn't going to score and that the goalkeeper was going to save it. Obviously, keeper gets down, gets a hand to it, but thankfully for Mo Salah, I think playing it along the floor made it almost impossible for the goalkeeper to save. And suddenly, Liverpool are 3-0 up, and everything seems fine. We're playing beautiful football. It's the free-flowing attacking stuff. We're up against the defence, which is essentially allowing us to do it. And you're starting to think maybe this could be, 6-0, 7-0, 8-0. We could really give our goal difference a boost. That could help us, obviously, in the group stages, having that little extra boost as well. As we all know, Liverpool got out of the group stages on goals scored, I think it was last season, so every single little numerical advantage counts. But then obviously things start to go a little bit wrong. The first Salzburg goal, I think, is if it's hard to say whether it's poor or not from Van Dijk, because obviously he dives in, he gets completely done by the fake shot. But if the player has the shot and Van Dijk blocks that, then you say that's a great recovery and we don't talk about it again. So maybe we have got to give credit to Salzburg as well. I mean, they were fantastic all the way through the game. A little bit sketchy defensively, but we definitely expected that. Is something I talked about at length in the pre-match video. You know, I said that I thought Liverpool were going to win this game, but I was in no way banking on us getting a clean sheet. Didn't quite expect it to be like that, but I certainly did think Salzburg would get some chances, and they are obviously quality going forward. They were fantastic, very well drilled. Pressing was great. The link-up play was fantastic. They were always finding little pockets of space. Every single player could play every single role. They were just everywhere. They were impossible to track, and then it's just a great goal for the first one as well. You've got to give respect to the finish. He absolutely whams it past Adrian, but maybe you could criticise Van Dijk just a little bit for being completely sold on the dummy, although maybe, you know, you never know, maybe he's expecting Joel Matip to be there. I think there's certainly something to be said about the fact it is a different back line for Liverpool. Obviously the back line that maybe hasn't worked so much this season. Obviously it hasn't played much football, the Van Dijk-Gomez axis, and as we all know, on their day they are absolutely fantastic. We saw plenty of that last season, but so far this season it's never quite got going. We saw it in the Community Shield. I think we saw it from the start in the game against Norwich on the opening day as well, and they did look slightly iffy, slightly out of sync with one another, and I think we saw that at times today. There wasn't quite the same cohesion that we see in the Van Dijk-Matip partnership, and maybe that is just less down to the quality of the players and the link up between them, and more just down to the fact they haven't played many games. But it did definitely show. Obviously we get back out for the second half and we just didn't settle. You know, I felt like, you know, the timing for the first goal was poor as well, because it gave Salzburg a full 5 minutes to just go hell for leather at our goal, and I think we were actually very fortunate not to go in at the half-time break with just a 1-goal lead, or who knows, maybe even with the scores level. But obviously Salzburg just came out so much better for the second half. They came flying out of the traps. They were all over us, whereas really what we needed to do was just calm things down, just pass the ball around a little bit, keep possession. Obviously with the brilliant attacking play we had going and the quick linking up and the brilliant balls forward and stuff like that, I think we were slightly rushing it to try and get it forward and just trying to score as many goals as possible, and maybe forgot about our abilities in terms of game management. And it was something that was talked about last season, where we said that Liverpool had almost sacrificed that free-flowing football for the sake of just managing games and being a bit more sensible. And obviously, you know, the trade-off is that while it isn't as entertaining, you do generally end up winning more games. And I felt tonight we kind of went back to the old Liverpool of 17-18 or even seasons before that, almost like the Liverpool of the Brendan Rodgers era and the Suarez era, that 13-14 season, where it was quite simply about outscoring the opponent and you'd kind of just leave the defence open as a result. Obviously the second goal is a fantastic finish as well. You've kind of got to give credit there again, but the third goal really does irritate me a little bit, because as a club, Liverpool, we pride ourselves, and Man City do this as well, on being able to create multiple clear-cut chances pretty much on the line, open goals from 6 yards out, 5 yards out, 4 yards out, stuff like that, basically creating as many tap-ins as possible, because they're the most difficult chance to create in football, and they're the most difficult chance to create in football because they are so easy to score. And something we should also be priding ourselves on is the fact we don't allow the opposition similar opportunities like that. And I just feel like the fact that that ball was able to get through our entire defence to Erling Haaland, who when he scored that had then scored 18 goals in 11 appearances. It's not rocket science that you need to have someone marking him. He's a big lad as well, so you've always got to have someone on him, essentially. You can't really mark him zonally, because if he gets a run on you, he's strong enough and big enough that he could just barge through even one of the stronger players like Joe Gomez or Fabinho, or I'm not going to say Van Dijk because the man's an absolute mountain, but you get what I mean. You need to actually have someone paying attention to him at all times, and to leave him free in the box 2 yards out with an open net, it's just really poor, and it's not really something I ever really want to see again from Liverpool's players, because like I said, if you're letting the opposition create those kind of chances, they're almost guaranteed to score from them, and you shouldn't be allowing them those kind of opportunities. They should be forced to relying on, you know, beautiful strikes like the first goal, beautiful strikes like the second goal. You know, you look at the goal that Newcastle scored against us and you say, like, we can't really criticise them because it was just a really, really good finish at the end of the day, and it's not something they can replicate on a regular basis. But if teams were able to create open net chances against us, then that is something we should be worried about. And I think you certainly saw Jurgen Klopp, after that goal went in, he did that weird kind of laughing off thing he did with the first couple. We saw it against Red Star away from home last season as well, where he grins and then his face just completely drops. He definitely wasn't doing that after the third goal. You could see him chatting with Pep Linders and he looked very, very concerned, and I think that's why, because because they weren't just scoring goals, they were cutting us open at this point, Salzburg. However, one thing that I did certainly feel after their goal, and certainly after Mo Salah gets us back in front, was that they did kind of score too early. You saw straight away that Liverpool just turned it on, and the crowd definitely helped as well. I wish I'd been there tonight. I had a vague opportunity of getting a ticket, but it just didn't quite work out for me. But you've got to give respect to the Anfield crowd, because they didn't let that get them down. A few years ago, the crowd would have just been starting to get annoyed, and they would have been sort of, throwing their arms up in the air and complaining about every misplaced pass and stuff like that. But this time, there's more faith in the team to get the job done, and it was more just about cheering them on, getting them going again, revving the players up, making them realise just how important this was and just how much extra they needed to actually get the win and get the team over the line. And it completely changed the game. That 10 minutes in between when they scored and when we scored and went 4-3 up, we were all over them, and every single player just had that extra 10%. Suddenly their touch was better, they were quicker, they were finding passes better, they were finding passes quicker, they were creating chances much better, and it just felt like Salzburg were under this unimaginable pressure. And about 5 minutes after they scored, I was like, there's no way they are going to be able to survive this for the next half hour. Something will give at some point, and something did give. A little bit of luck here and there, some breaks of the ball, but also a great little flick from Robertson to set up Mo Salah, who did not miss. I thought, if I'm being perfectly honest, Mo Salah had a little bit of a poor night. A lot of his touches were bad, his dribbling wasn't quite there, his passing was just sometimes behind players, or sometimes didn't have the power to reach them, or was slowing attacks down, stuff like that. I thought it was one of his poorer performances in Liverpool shirt. But the great thing about Mohamed Salah, and the great thing about any members of our front three, is they've still got real moments of quality in them. Sadio Mane's been brilliant at it in the past, about sort of playing on the periphery, not really being involved, and then suddenly he gets the ball 20 yards from goal and slams it in. And Mo Salah was the player who did that for us today. Obviously he misses the one-on-one slightly earlier on in the game that he really should score, but this one, when the pressure was on, when we really needed him to do it, he came up trumps. And that's what I think is really important. And I say it time and time again about this front three, you can rely on them when it really matters. I can think of plenty of Liverpool players in the past who, if they got that chance at 3-0 up, would have scored it. If they got that chance when the game was level, they would have missed it because of the pressure. And Mo Salah just doesn't do that. Roberto Firmino just doesn't lose his cool. Sadio Mane is so calm in these kind of situations, and it's great that we have all of those players pulling together to get us over the line, because things like this, they do happen. You can't go a whole season without occasionally having a little bit of squeaky bum time. We saw it again last season. As brilliant as Liverpool were, as fantastic as our defending was, Crystal Palace came to Anfield and we had to score 4 goals just to beat them by 1 goal. They managed to get 3. Sometimes that's going to happen. You can minimise it as much as you want, but the law of averages means occasionally things will just go a bit bananas. Obviously, we can be annoyed at how it happened, and as I said, that 3rd goal did irritate me a little bit, a lot more than the other 2 goals, which were to give Salzburg a little bit of respect. Great strikes and great build-up play as well. They were fantastic. You've got to give them credit for that as well. But what's important is that when these mad aberrations of matches happened, you still get over the line. You look at Man City against Norwich, they went to pieces defensively and they couldn't get the job done at the other end of the pitch. Liverpool went to pieces defensively today at times, and they still managed to get the job at the other end of the pitch. So yeah, Salah bailed us out. Yeah, it doesn't look great, and obviously it's a little bit demoralising for the defence, and it does sort of concern you in terms of like a player like Joe Gomez's overall development. Obviously he's kind of seen as the future of Liverpool's defence, and the fact that he comes in and suddenly everything goes to pot isn't a really great sign. But sometimes you've just got to be happy with the win, and at the end of the day, it was still an absolute hell of an experience. Sometimes 5-0, 6-0, they're great, but sometimes winning by 1 goal, getting that winner in an absolutely mad game is almost in a way better. And at the end of the day, Liverpool have got 3 points. Our Champions League campaign is now off the mark. We can now go and try and dominate this group, hopefully finish top of it, hopefully get a nice easy draw in the round of 16, hopefully cruise through the knockout stages, hopefully lift number 7 in Istanbul. It's obviously early days, but if you're not thinking ahead like that, then you're not thinking like a Liverpool fan, because that is just how we do it. So yeah, that is all for today's video. Thank you guys very, very much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, hit that like button down there, hit that subscribe button there if you're new around here. Check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few days as well. Don't forget to follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter, and I'll be back soon with the pre-match content for the game against Leicester. Until then, bye for now.